Warning, what you are about to hear will disrupt the norm. We are the voice of the social misfit. We empower the outliers.
Nah, don't run from the discomfort. You need to stay in it. Feel the feels and feel some type of way. Let it hit your core because that's where our healing and our change begins.
System malfunction. System override. I'm feeling triggered!
Well, and we're rolling.
We're live.
We're live.
Hey, you guys, welcome to Feeling Triggered, where we're going to say some things that make you feel some type of way, but we're also going to wind it back down. So I want to introduce the people that are here with me. Super excited that they are available. Also super nervous because, well, you'll hear in a few. But anyway, I'm Lauren. So welcome to Feeling Triggered. You guys can introduce yourselves.
I'm Jarrell Tha Griot, an Aggie.
I am Michael Jones, also an Aggie.
And I am Justin Leach, also an Aggie.
So moving right along, we're just
Aggie pride. Aggie pride.
Can I get an Aggie pride?
Yeah.
So chewing tobacco and moving right along. We are going to get
Lauren, can we stop for a second and just state the obvious? That she's an amazing boss, she's an amazing CEO, because my requests have been heard. I've been on this podcast since the beginning saying that we needed more male representation, and my boss came through for me. I got fellas here today to kind of broaden the horizon a little bit, and they happen to be Aggie. So, boss, I say thank you. I just say thank you for hearing my request and just delivering in such an amazing way. This is awesome.
That was real slick, because what am I supposed to say? Oh,
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
There you go.
You're welcome. So, guys, as you can see, the table has turned. Not only did I bring Aggies, but they're men. So, but I'm really excited about that because we're going to get a different perspective about some triggering, conversations. But to kind of start it off light, let's start the segment of Feel the Feels. And I want to do a check-in with you guys. It's Friday. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling?
For me, this has been the longest week I've had in a while. Luckily, I've been able to get through it, and looking towards for next week, seeing what that holds. I had, some business that was taken care of because I have a consultant. Me and my wife have a consulting business. We've got some good things coming that way. On top of that, I had a phone interview for a position for the school that I work for. So keeping fingers crossed, hoping that works out. Finishing it off with you guys today. So just there you go. Shit got a lot going on. So
Yeah, I agree. It's been a long week. I don't know why, but this definitely felt like a long one as far as just having issues waking up for work. Actually ended up being 2 hours late for work one day this week. Tired, a lot of stuff going on, not just at work, but, me and Lauren trying to, get some side businesses up and going. And then I'm in the process of switching jobs, so handling interviews and paperwork for that. So it's definitely been a long week. I am so glad it's Friday.
yes.
Well, like my fellow Aggies, definitely been a busy week. That's always a blessing and a curse. I try to focus on the blessing side of it. We could be not busy, so I try to look at it as we're busy purposefully. So that's kind of how I try to hold my head. But of course, as they say, that's definitely tolling emotionally and mentally. So just trying to hold it together. Happy to be my last meeting, quote unquote, of the day. So Zoom is gonna get shut off until Monday.
Oh, I feel that.
Amen.
I mean,
that.
so
For
yeah.
me, I've been feeling, I think I felt almost everything this week. I've been feeling stressed, feeling really anxious, feeling extremely tired. I guess my week's been pretty busy as well, but I've been doing really exciting work. So I think that's kind of motivated me and kept me going despite. So yeah, but can I just say that I didn't expect everyone to be so open about how they're feeling this week, because Jarrell and I have talked about this at length about how we normally, when everyone says, "How are you doing?" we normally say, "Oh, we're good. I'm good. I'm fine," or "It's whatever." But you guys genuinely spoke your truth. You opened up about what's going on with your week. And I found that really refreshing. One, just because we're in a society where we don't do that. And two, because you guys are Black men. And I feel like you guys get that stigma of not openly talking or sharing what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So
I feel that. I feel that. And I have to commend Propel Productions for just exposing me to, you know, verbiage and to systems and processes that our minds and our bodies take in, you know, in feeling those emotions and how we can kind of read them better. So, because it was quite a time that I didn't even really pay attention to that aspect of it. It's just like my brother said, you know, get stuff done. That's basically where we stay. That's the pocket that we as Black men, I feel, have to always stay in. Just it's a matter of getting it done. Our feelings really do not matter in the case. And after so long of feeling that way, why pay attention to them at all? But you know, coming across the opportunity to learn more about it, it actually kind of makes you stronger in those aspects of knowing how to overcome those feelings or those mental breakdowns or whatever, and be even more productive in executing whatever it is that you're trying to do. So shout out to Propel Productions. That's all I gotta say. Facts.
Yes. Very proud.
Amen.
Yeah.
oh, thanks, thanks, guys. Cheers. Okay, but maybe I do have some. Oh.
It's gonna be fun.
We have a
It's
cat.
gonna be fun.
So we have a cat. You may or may not hear her in the background periodically. Her name is Africa. She's new here. She's adjusted.
She's speaking her opinion right now.
She's feeling it.
She's very opinionated.
Yeah.
But her name is Africa, so y'all just gotta let her speak. Just let her speak, man.
Boom. All right, so let me ask you guys some questions that may make you feel some type of way. How did you guys feel watching Kobe's last game?
I'm gonna be honest, I missed it. So I didn't get a chance to actually see it. But I mean, looking at highlights, you felt like an era was coming to an end. You know what I mean? It's like all those years you sat there and watched this dude from, he was 18 on the scene. So it was like 96 to 2000 and 9, 10, 11, something like that. So I mean, you pretty much grew up with this guy, you know. I mean, I wish he could have played maybe 3 or 4 more years, you know, and finally get that 6th ring. But I mean, hey, he didn't have anything else to prove after that, you know.
So I don't think I watched Kobe's last game either, or if I did, it was literally probably like the last couple minutes of the game. And I think one of the reasons like it wasn't a big deal if I saw it, and that was because I got to watch him play here in DC when he was, you know, in his final season, going on his final tour, if you will. So like I'm already good. Like I'm a big Lakers fan, big Kobe fan. Like I bleed purple and gold. And I never got to see Kobe Bryant in person play a game. So the fact that I got to go see him for the Wizards game, like that made it for me. So it didn't matter if I saw the last game or not. But to Justin's point about like kind of witnessing the end of an era, I definitely feel that because I guess I feel, however, someone older than me felt when Jordan played his last game. Well, last game with the Bulls, and he was supposed to go into retirement. Like, you felt like you were watching the end of something great. So however they felt watching Jordan, I imagine like that's what our feelings are with watching Kobe, like just 20 years of nothing but greatness. And, you know, he's gone on to the sunset. So it was emotional, but I was happy for him. He really didn't have anything left to prove. And I mean, he goes down as one of the all-time greats. So
Absolutely. I mean, I those sentiments exactly. Once again, diehard Kobe fan. Like Kobe was basketball just golden child for me in terms of just work ethic, and overall greatness. Number of victories, how he was able to will his way to a lot of the accomplishments that he's been able to do. Basically, he was and I know people this is maybe a triggering term to say, but like he was Michael Jordan to our generation. People will argue that he's better than Jordan, and I don't feel like their legacies should compare, because they were quote unquote, like Jay-Z used to say, they were the person that's was in the hot seat. They was in the white light for a specific era. You know what I mean? So both of their greatness, their legacies will go down as great. But for my generation, for the basketball that I watch, Kobe was that guy. So to see him ball out the way he did, and everybody's just chanting him on, like, just keep going. He's just, I felt figuratively like he was dumping out the chamber, like he was just that last clip, and I'm just going to just bust off until it's empty, because I got to get this out, because the way and it's, I felt differently when I saw it happen versus, now, because of all that's transpired. But, then it was like, whoa, that he's still at the end of his career, and he's still doing it better than the large majority and probably yet to come. But then to watch him dump it all out and then transition into a new field made me re-elevate my excitement for like him as a person, him as a creative. Because I feel like the way he played basketball was creative. So the way he did all of that, man, and then, now looking at it, that was literally stamping a legacy, because of course, soon thereafter we lost him. So it's been I've had mixed emotions about that last game. Absolutely.
Speaking of, I'm glad that you brought up the fact that we lost him, because I wanted to ask you guys, since we're in the Feel the Feel segment, what did you guys do to process your grief? I know we didn't know him personally, but he was in everybody's hearts and minds growing up with him and experiencing him play. So what did you guys do when you heard about the loss, and how'd y'all cope? Like, how did you guys as Black men grieve another Black man who you guys didn't really know?
I mean, it's hard for me to grieve for anybody that I don't know. I mean, it took me by surprise. I'll say that much. Because when I looked at my phone and saw that's what happened, I'm like, all right, y'all lying. Like, I don't know what. Then I went and kept looking and kept saying the same thing. I was like, what in the world just happened? It hurt a little bit, because it's like I said before, you grew up watching this dude. So it's like, oh, you kind of felt like you knew him. You know what I mean? And the fact that you lost him, it was like, oh, it's somebody that I know that was real special to me. And it hurts. I won't ever get to see this person again. You know what I mean? And it kind of starts to relate to, your own your own like real life situations. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that was close to you or you grew up with, and they're no longer here. Or it happened by surprise. That's what really hurt the most. So I don't know. It's like I remember where I was when it happened.
That's what I was about to ask. I was like, you feel like that's gonna get stamped as like I knew where I was, what I was doing when it happened?
Yeah, like it was the day after my birthday, matter of fact. And
wow.
I'm sitting in the restaurant eating, and I go on my phone, and they're like, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then everybody started seeing it on their phones. And then they started showing it on the news, on the TV. And I'm just like, oh, this is for real. Like, y'all not playing. So it took a minute for me to like really process it. It wasn't until like maybe I think like a few days later, when it really like set in. So I don't know. It was just hard to like kind of understand like that type of death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it hit me pretty bad. Again, I'm a huge Kobe fan, so like there's not a lot of people that I like geek out or nerd out over as far as like celebrities, because at the end of the day, like I view everybody the same. Like you put your pants on the same way I do. So I don't feel like anybody's better than me or, better than anybody. But for people like The Rock and like Kobe, like, I don't know, it's just something special about those two individuals. So like I will, definitely geek out over it if I ever had, the opportunity to meet them. But I remember where I was at. I was at work. And I think what was significant about, I wouldn't even say significant about his passing, but what kind of surprised me was that this was like literally after LeBron had just passed him on the scoring list.
Man, yeah.
And so when I initially heard the news, I thought it was a joke because literally just the night before LeBron had passed him. So I just thought like, it's kind of like, somebody playing jokes on Facebook or, doing a meme like Kobe died because he wanted nobody to be better than him or, just whatever. So I didn't take it serious at first. And then when I got on my phone and I started seeing the notifications, like I really felt like somebody punched me in the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And when I got home, like any Lakers stuff I had, like Lauren can tell you, like anything that I had that was Lakers or purple or whatever, like I just laid them all out on the chair and like I just left them there. So like if you were to come in like the house during that time, like you'd have just seen Lakers stuff just out for no reason.
Yeah, I remember because we were shooting Remix Rage, and that was my first time at you guys' house, and I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's I like this dude," because I was still quote unquote grieving. Like that's the first celebrity that I ever felt that way about. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I remember when Michael Jackson died. I remember nothing hit the same as that. Like,
I think the whole world, like they actually just wept, like they cried. You know what I mean? And even seeing his funeral, it was just like, wow, like this dude impacted that many people over decades.
It was crazy. I have reached out to a couple, like one of my like high school best friends that lived in my neighborhood, and I just texted them and I was just like, bruh, that's the only thing the text message said. It was like, bruh, he was like, bruh, and that was it. That was the only conversation.
Said 1,000 words.
That was the only conversation, and it was heavy. It was heavy. They started talking about, every time you shoot the paper ball in the trash can, you yelling out Kobe. Like, start remembering all of those moments, and it really took a little toll. Like, really had to go through somewhat of whatever we consider to be a grieving process, which I don't know about you guys, but none of us really have that solidified in terms of how we would have to grieve something like that, for sure.
I do think that it's really cool kind of being a fly on the wall during this conversation because it's making me think that being triggered doesn't automatically mean that you get angry. Like if something triggers you, although a lot of the times in our discussions when we talk about feeling triggered, we're also talking about feeling angry. But it sounds like the loss of Kobe was very triggering and the trigger manifested in grief and in sadness. So it's pretty cool hearing the range of emotions and the different things that you guys did or didn't do, said or didn't say to kind of express the fact that that loss was heavy and it was triggering.
That's real.
And that also kind of transitions loosely into what we're talking about this month for April, because it's Stress Awareness Month. And being triggered or feeling some type of way can be extremely stressful. And not only is that, but it's also the month that we acknowledge African American mental health. So it's our awareness month. And I want to kind of hear about what you guys do to not even manage stress, but how do you cope with stress? What stresses you the most out of everything that's going on in life? what's the most stressful thing? And then what do you do to help release or alleviate that type of stress?
What stresses us the most?
Yes, and don't even think about it. Just quick.
Life, period.
Right.
I mean,
Can't say life. That's
Black
too
male
big.
existence.
nah,
That's
I
what you
mean,
call it.
no, I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, okay. Blackmail. Okay, go ahead. No, y'all go ahead. What do you mean by that? Elaborate for us listeners, us that want to know.
I mean, for me, just when I say life, period, I just mean the stereotypical aspect of being a black man in America, the fact of having to, if you're with someone like a spouse, you know, having to worry about being the provider or the protector, you know what I mean? And just the fact of like making sure that you're good enough. And what I mean by good enough, you may not have like that dream job or that dream, you know, life that you like portrayed that you wanted when you were younger. You know, in a perfect world, it's like I got all the money, I've got the car, I've got the job, I got this, I got that. And then when you get older, it's like boom, here's real life. Let me tell you what you're not gonna do. Or let me tell you what you can do. Or let me tell you what I'm gonna allow you to do. You know what I mean? Worrying about this the stereotypes of, I mean, like even for me, I'm not a small guy. Never have been, never will be. You know what I mean? I'm not like fat or anything, but I'm saying like I played sports. So for me, I always got to worry about walking down the street and worrying about somebody saying, "What team you play for?" Or "Why you not playing for somebody's team?" Or the fact, you know, I'm driving in my car and I got to worry about the police behind me, worrying about if they're running my tags or they just want to stop because they want to have fun with me. You know what I'm saying? Just things like that, like little small things. And then when you come home, like making sure, you know, as a black man that you don't have that stereotype of being a sorry ass dude. I'm gonna just say it just like that. You know what I'm saying? Not taking care of your responsibilities. So for me, it's like I do the most to try to make sure that I don't have that stereotype on me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's like I say, when I say life is what stresses me, I mean that's what it is. Now how I cope with it, that's always been my mystery, just even to myself. Because like even when, you know, even with dealing with death both times with my parents, I don't know, I handled it in such a different way. You know, when my dad passed away a couple years ago, um it was like we had the funeral and then like I left. I didn't stay for the after whatever. It was like I got my stuff that I needed to have, and then I was off here to DC to apply for a job or to have an interview for a job that I had coming up, which is the job that I'm currently in right now. You know what I mean? So I just felt like if I kept myself busy, you know, it doesn't give me time to think about it. Because they always say when you sit if you sit alone and you think about stuff, that's like your spirits or your conscience talking to you and making you like reminisce and think about the things that you probably could have done or should have done. You know, so I don't know. It's something that I'm working on learning how to grieve because I'm gonna be honest, like I've never told nobody this until today. Like I really don't know how to grieve, honestly. I don't. I just feel like it's best I just keep it moving. That way I don't have to think about it as much. If it hits me, it hits me. But then I'm like, all right, cool, it hit me. So let me move on. You know, because it's not going to do any good with me just sitting there thinking about it.
Yeah, I think, and I think he made really two really good points. One being that our coping is literally, from my perspective, just a pat on the back from yourself if something does not completely cripple you or enable you to do what you have to do. If whatever it is, whether it be physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever, if that has not ceased your ability to move, then that's overcoming, in our opinion, because I mean, you could trace it back generationally, of course, all the trauma that our ancestors had to go through, but it literally was about survival. We've never been in a space to where we can live from a wellness mindset. It was never about being well as a black man. It's about I'm making it from day to day. That's an accomplishment all in itself. literally your mortality from day to day, knowing the possibilities that just walking out your door presents. Mortality is what matters. So if you are alive, you can't do nothing but be like, cool, I'm good. So anything above that is now I have things that I can kind of stand on, which is why you see Black men burying themselves into their professions, burying themselves into their service to other people is what builds them, right? So that was the first point. And the second point of not knowing how to grieve, that kind of coincides with the first, because our feelings don't take precedence over anything. They're like a last resort, because once again, as long as I'm alive, I know I have a responsibility, and us three being upstanding Black men wanting to put on and set a great example for the next generation, want to take care of our families and all of that, that takes priority over everything else. So as long as whatever's happening doesn't impede on me being able to do that, it's minuscule. But we understand that after a long time of that does become a major thing, because it does take a toll on everything else eventually. So good job, like Justin, for even admitting that, bro. That you put that really well.
It's almost like a callus, almost though, like a mental callus. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you spend so much of your time, you know, in your early parts of your life, especially as a childhood, and you know, in your childhood, and you look at, you know, how your father did it, or how your uncle did it, or how your brother, or you know, cousin, whoever, you know, whatever male role model was in your life, and you try to like either emulate or you try not to do what they did, you know. And as a kid, those first like 18 years of your life pretty much almost set the standard as to how you're pretty much going to be in your life. You know what I mean? And that kind of messes with you too without you really knowing it. Yeah. You know, I feel like the only way that you can either break the cycle or continue it in a positive way, I mean, is like either thinking for yourself, admitting the fact that, on some days I don't feel good, you know, mentally, I need a break, you know, instead of just trying to always be a he-man. And it's like, well, all right, it's all right, don't worry about it, you know, I'll get through it, boom, move on. Well, no, you might not be able to move through it or move on from it, because it might have really messed with you, and you need to either talk about it, you know, or let out whatever frustrations you got, you know.
Thanks.
Yeah, all of that. all of it. Yes. So, yeah, Justin probably hit on a lot. Life is stressful, and like I kind of look at it the same way you all do. But I do want to make a quick note, Justin. You're probably like the second or third person that has said that being a larger Black male is stressful, because of, you know, the things that you have to have going on in the back of your mind, like, okay, let me not look threatening walking down the street, or let me make sure I'm talking and presenting myself a certain way. And I've got to be honest, I never once thought about that. I mean, you know, one, because I'm not a big guy,
right?
But two, I never thought to think about it. But there are definitely two other guys on Facebook who are larger, and they've said something along those lines. And you know, being Black in and of itself, you have a lot to think about in your day-to-day life. But when you tack on like being big, or being really loud or energetic, or, you know, having hair, like that just is another layer added on to it that you have to learn how to personally navigate. So yeah, I just wanted to just point that out.
It's crazy, because it's just like, is this all you see of me? You know what I mean? Like, why is this the only thing you see? Why am I the only, like, why is my body structure or the way I look so threatening to you? You know what I mean? Like, I literally sometimes have to walk almost with my head down to not seem so threatening. You know what I mean? Or even if I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm afraid to jog down the street in my own neighborhood sometimes. Cause I don't want the cop car, coming towards me and it's like, oh, what's wrong? What are you doing? Well,
What are you
first
running
of all,
from?
right. What are you running from? Why do you need to know that? Just know
Yeah.
I'm jogging and I'm minding my business. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
There's no reason
Right.
why I'm sitting here or standing here explaining to you why I'm doing anything. You know what I mean? So the fact that I have to sometimes do that, yeah, it bothers me. Bothers me a lot.
And I think paying attention. Oh, I'm sorry, Lauren.
Oh wait, no, go ahead.
I think that kind of plays into just the idea of, like you said, just perception. Almost feeling as though I have to counter what you think of me. I don't get to present myself and you have a blank slate until we start exchanging or we start interacting. It's almost I have to kind of be overly that, and I guess that's what they talk about. We got to be twice as good because I feel like I have to be overly exceptional in whatever it is I'm trying to present for it to overpower your preconceived notion of what I'm about to give you, like based off of what I look like. Like as Justin, I'm not the biggest, but I'm 6 feet, about 215 with hair. So it's like, then I step out of a black car, like it's that just that playing on my personal conscience because I know what the repercussions of just those those fortunes of events or So I 100% agree with that, man. That's y'all hit some good stuff that I ain't even really, man. Yes.
So I want to jump in by saying, as a Black woman, thank you for the opportunity to just kind of hear what's going on up here. Because I will say that I feel as though you all completely internalize the protector provider role, but with protecting and providing, you're also protecting me from your thoughts, if that makes sense, and trying to provide a calm environment, if that makes sense, which is great to a certain extent, but it also robs, I think, significant others or friends or family that intimate connection that we would like to have with you guys, but we're almost not privy or don't have the access to what's going on in you guys' minds. So I kind of want to get your take on whether you're talking from a significant other experience or whether you're talking parent experience or friends experience, whatever it is. I feel as though Black men as a whole do not fully open up and share these mental health or emotional health thoughts and feelings. And I think that there is a stopgap. There's some type of glass wall, not even ceiling, but wall. Like I can't reach you because I don't have access almost to that part of you, if that makes sense.
I will see your comment and counter with some, I don't want to say most, but some women don't know how to handle what they're actually requesting.
Oh, see, I was good. Mike beat me to the.
So,
okay. And so counter to that is we don't have experience. I don't think that we have the experience of dealing with it.
Go ahead,
so
Justin.
when we get to it, be able to handle it. It's kind of hard not being able to have any type of access. And then once you're finally getting the access, being kind of blown away. It does take time.
Sometimes though, it's like we can give you that key to that access, but I don't know if some of you are willing to go through the door to understand it. Because a lot of times, in some cases, it could be like, well, I'm telling you why I feel this way or how I feel, but in your mind or in a woman's mind, it's like, oh, well, that don't make sense to me. So I can't sit here and understand how you feel. I feel like you're just basically you're going overboard with the whole situation. For me, or even for anybody else, I can't speak for all Black men, but I just know even for myself, my thing is if I get to a point where we're just not getting anywhere with it, I'm going to be like, okay, never mind. Don't worry about it. You got it. You understand it. You know more than me.
Bingo.
I'm done with it. Cause I don't want to keep fighting with you about it. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously you don't get it. You're not going to get it, or either you're not trying to get it. So if you're not either doing one of the three, don't worry about it. just
And I'm
know
not thinking about a fight. I'm thinking, okay, let's walk through this example of just a generic, how was
Mhm.
your day?
Yeah.
How was your day? So nothing triggering, nothing that will at least out the gate not leading to a fight, but just a simple, hey, how was your day?
Mhm.
There's not a lot of emotional or mental depth. It's normally a very play by play. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. Like it's task oriented. I did this. But if I was to ask a girlfriend, hey, how was your day? It would be almost reverse. Like, girl, let me tell
Right, but
honey, this happened and this happened and this happened. So I'm getting a lot of emotional connection from one entity, but not the same from another entity. So I'm wondering, is that the same experience that you all would feel just off of a how was your day?
It will. I feel like it once again it leads back to the idea of we don't sit in a position where our feelings are taking precedence in anything. So even in a simple question, our mind is going to go, was today a good day based off did I accomplish the things that I needed to accomplish and did I make it to the end of it? Like, yes, that's it was cool. Oh, dang, some things happened today that I was not able to accomplish the goals that I had to accomplish, whatever they may be, because that is impeding on my role and my responsibility and whatever that is I'm doing as a black man. So we feelings, it doesn't matter. So even going back to Justin's point, when it is in a conflict to whereas something's happened based off of our emotions, after maybe one or two times of actually accessing that, figuring out what that was to be able to explain it to you, you'd be like, I don't know, or I don't care to know, or I'm not understanding. It's like whatever, because that wasn't at the forefront of my purview at that moment anyway. I'm going to deal with the emotions and I'm going to move on because that's what I have to do. That's
Mhm.
that's the cycle. Like
It's almost like you don't have time to actually be in your feelings as a man. It's just like, all right, you deal with it, move on. I don't have time to sit here and cry about it. Because if I sit here and cry about it, to the male ego, it's like I'm being a punk.
because that's what
I'm
we was fed. That's what we
right.
was fed.
You weren't
That's
fed to actually
resurfacing
show your
actually.
emotions.
But what about offloading? So I feel like when guys express, it's you all take so much and then it gets to the point where there's no more room to take anything else. And so everything just needs to come out, point blank, period, just to kind of reset. How do you enter or manage a relationship of equal people and kind of help offload or share certain loads or circumstances, situations, something versus it sounds like operating in silos almost. Like I'm doing this over here, I'm doing this over here as
It's
far
almost
as
like a system. It's
say
like almost
what?
like it's almost like a system.
Yeah.
Like for us, like for any guy that come, like even when he comes home from work, like the first thing he really wants to do, depending on who they are, is like they just want to be left alone for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Just sit
Like just
still.
give us,
Just let me just sit still.
let me
Let me
just sit
sit
here and
the
just like
F down.
just think about like what did God just go through today? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard when you come home and the first thing is like, "How was your day? How was your?" Give me a minute. I'm gonna tell you about my day. Just let me unwind first. I know you haven't seen me all day, and that's wonderful. That's great. I missed you too. Love you too. But I just need that moment to me where I don't answer anybody's questions. I don't want to talk to nobody. Like I know for me, and I know it sounds kind of a-holish, but that's just me. I'm sorry. But I don't want to talk to anybody when I come home from work. I
Yo,
just
and
want
Yeah.
I think that that's so real. Thank you for sharing. And I'm trying to think. I feel like Mike, I saw him nodding his head, so I feel like he's on the same wavelength. And I'm thinking, do we even know what each other needs at the end of the day? Like those are the type of conversations that don't get discussed because it has something to do with your feelings. Like what do you, and your
because we don't
thoughts?
want to
Like I
hurt your
don't think there's
feelings.
ever been a conversation, Mike, when you get home from work, what do you need to help reset? Or Lauren, what do you need at the end of your workday? You're working from home, but please believe I'm working. what do I need at the end of my workday? I don't even know if that conversation happens within multiple households.
I feel like this is what it is, because this is what it comes down to. It's all well and fine unless what your needs are and what my needs are contradictory. Mm-hmm. Once your needs and my needs become contradictory, it then no longer becomes about my needs, because now my needs are to make sure that your needs are met. I'm speaking personally. That's how I view it. So if it's a case where, for example, you said, Mike may want to come in and relax. If that's my need, but your need is being at home all day and you working by yourself and all of that. Your need is when I come home that you want some time with me. I mean, that compromise can come. Of course, in wisdom, we know that could come through communication. But my first thought is, let me make sure she's good first, and then I'll worry about me later. That's the concept. So it's like I said, it's never really. I feel like we make the decision before the conversation is had. Is no need. I'm execute. We don't have to talk about this. I know what's about to happen. I'm about to make sure you're good, and then once you're good, and I can feel that way, then I can get a bit of relaxation knowing that my responsibilities is handled, and then whatever I got to handle for myself, I can do that on my own. Like, that's how I view it.
Yeah, and long term, I feel like that's gonna breed more stress and some resentment, because you're in a relationship where there's not equally, like, the needs aren't equally being met. Like, I don't see that's not healthy. I guess that's the society that we're in, where you guys have been conditioned to do a certain thing first before you tend to your own needs. But that just sounds like that is a breeding point of a toxic, unhealthy, one-sided relationship that will breed resentment in situations that will stem from that. How do we break that? How can we address this?
We gotta talk. If you don't talk, you don't have anything.
Okay, so
it took a while, but y'all got there. Share your feelings. Talk.
Here's what I want to say about that. So Justin and Jarrell have really already alluded to the whole thing. Like, we don't come first. Our opinions and our feelings don't come first in any situation. So yes, we're storing a lot in. And just to kind of use myself as an example, when I go to work, I make sure I act and talk a certain way. For coworkers that I'm not cool with, if you ask them all what they thought about me, they're going to tell you that I'm quiet. Mm-hmm. And that is for a very good reason.
Exactly. That's me. I don't say much.
They're going to tell you that I'm quiet. And that's because I don't want to say anything that's going to offend someone or be taken the wrong way. And that's a personal Black male experience. I need to act and talk a certain way and stay out the way so I don't get caught up in no foolishness. And Lauren, I have unlocked that lock one time and had to resign from my job because of it. So that's one thing. Then, after I get out of that situation, work or whatever it may be, I still don't have that outlet to kind of be outward with what I'm feeling, because I'm still going out into society. And again, if I act or talk or do something a certain way, it may get taken the wrong way. Bigger issue. I get home. Lauren, you want to hear from me when I get in the house. You want me to speak to you. You want me to hug you. You want me to kiss you. You want all those things. I may not necessarily be in the mood for that, but that is a need that I know that my wife needs. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to provide that. So again, what I want, what I need, what I'm feeling is not at the forefront. I got shit I got to do. I got shit I got to take care of. And once all of that is taken care of, I am so drained by that point. I just want to sit my ass down, turn on some type of sports entertainment on YouTube, and just zone out.
And he does that.
But and that's good though. You give him that opportunity to space out for a few minutes. you know, not a lot of dudes get there. And then that causes the resentment, that causes the anger, that causes the arguments all the time. And that's because nobody's talked about it. You know what I mean? You got to talk about it. Especially like if you start out, like even if you start off in a relationship, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. Like you still gotta talk about that stuff, you know. Because it may come to a point where, you know, you meet up and it's like, I don't really want to talk right now. Well, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm going through something right now. I can't really talk about it. Just let me be, you know. Well, you need to listen. I've already said it once. Like I don't want to have to say it again. You know what I mean? Because then the third time, then it's like now I'm about to pop off because you didn't give me time to process it. You know what I mean? It's just all about with dudes. We just want to process, figure it out, and then move on. We don't ever want to put our anger on anybody, especially a woman, you know. And for black men, that's always been the stereotype, the angry black man or the big angry black man or whatever angry type of black man, you know what I mean? And it's always been put on the black woman. You know what I mean? And that's something that we as black men want to break that type of stereotype because we don't want to always be known for that, you know. It's led to a lot of domestic violence. It's led to a lot of you know, mental health illnesses, you know, as far as with guys when it comes to that. I didn't even know this, you know, you don't even have to be in the military to have PTSD. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's not
a large majority of us have PTSD and don't even realize it. Absolutely.
Right. You know what I mean? Like that's stuff to think about. So it's just like, let us process. Then we come to you, you know. And I think a lot of times, like you said before, Mike and Jarrell, you know, we've always been embedded to know that we're supposed to take care of our women first before we do anything, you know. So while we're taking care of you, we're still processing everything that we had to take care of for ourselves. I know even for me, like I get the text messages during the day during work, like, can you do this? Can you handle that? Can you handle that? And I'm like, I'm still trying to get through the damn door at my job first. Like I haven't even processed me waking up, getting to work yet. And I'm already getting those messages of the tasks as a husband that I have to do, you know, before I even go home. And they gotta get done because if they're not, then I gotta sit here and I gotta explain to you why it didn't happen.
And in that case, in both of our minds, our feelings don't matter at that point.
Nothing matters at
like,
that point.
I don't care what you feel like. Why didn't you do what I asked you to do?
Why didn't you do it when I asked you to do it the first time? You know, and then if you tell them, oh, well, I had something that came up. Well, what did you do that was some? Well, hell, I am at work. What do you expect me to do? Drop everything I'm doing just to do what you want? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not costing my job because of you. No, because then if I don't work, I don't have no money. We got bills to pay. You know what I mean?
All right. So now let me flip this on y'all. So you guys have both, well, all three of you guys have eloquently talked about how much you have to change or adjust or maneuver in order to survive life as Black men. Let's talk about after you guys have to do all of that and you get through the door, do you feel as though you're only remnants of yourself? Like you give yourself all of your effort, your energy, it's exhausting just living as Black people, period, specifically Black men right now. So when you get home and you're tired, you're worn out, what percentage of you is left for your family, for your friends? Do you feel as though they get the leftovers, the remnants, the little particles of you that we
like and I'm gonna speak to this from like the perspective of, like I said, the knowledge that I've gained and understanding what that looks like. When we come home in the evening, like after a long day of the world and having to wear that armor, I feel like that fatigue that we're having to where it's showing up as we're only percentages or remnants of ourselves is because we only have the percentages or the remnants left of that armor. The problem is we have never, I guess, either been trained to create or have ever been offered the safe space to live that vulnerable side in general. You know, even as children, I know I played sports from 4 years old. And you ain't never hear, oh man, how you feeling? It's okay to cry. It's all right. You can be vulnerable in this moment. The world has fed you. Tough it up, man up, get your together, and keep it moving. So the only thing we feel is I don't have enough left to do that. I've somewhat been fortunate trying to practice the ideology of creating space, even for like in my familial space, like in my intimate partner relationships, even amongst myself, to like literally take that armor off, to whereas now I'm just 100%, but that 100% is vulnerability. I can sit in that space and feed that space, feed the true needs, so that the armor can get rebuilt. So then when I step back out into the world, you know, I'm ready. But that requires having a partner or having a family that offer that safe space to you. And for a lot of us in the Black community as a whole, we don't even know what a safe space looks like, because it's never been safe space. I know I went to school where if you, let's say you got a bad grade or something, or your girlfriend just broke up with you, let's see you walking down the hallway in a PG public school and be crying as a dude.
It's a wrap.
That ain't a safe space.
It's a wrap.
I'm not even from here.
It's
and of course, you know what I'm saying? Now that we're older, we're men, you know what I'm saying? And we have a greater conscious of, you know, mental and emotional wellness, that we could probably exchange feelings in a little bit more of a vulnerable space. But I still don't see me crying on my brother's shoulder. Like, and of course, you know,
you even had to put that in air quotes. You couldn't even just
I mean, because proverbially, because the literal aspect of me doing that is next to impossible. Like, I'm gonna hit my bro like, yo, it's some things going on, bro. But the crying part, if it had to get to that point, I've done by myself. That's not about to be happening with my mans. That's just at this point. Maybe I'll grow to that. I don't think so, but you know, God ain't through with me yet. But like I said, we never be in a safe space, so we don't know what that look like. Like you said, the women in our life that don't have the emotional intelligence of a man don't understand what our feelings look like. So that's not always a safe space, even though it's intentioned to be. But that might not be a safe space either. So until we can either, like I said, learn to create our own safe spaces, get more community amongst Black men to where those safe spaces can take place, or literally learn and teach what a Black man safe space look like, we don't have no space to be vulnerable, so we're not gonna do it. Like, that's how I feel.
I mean, even
Mike,
for me,
what go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I have the fortune of being married to a social worker, so I actually do have a safe space.
Dope. That is dope.
Now, do I utilize that safe space? Not all the time, no. It just kind of boils down to what I'm comfortable with and what I'm comfortable talking about in that given time and space. So I don't feel like I give Lauren remnants. Maybe on days where I'm just like really having a shitty day, she may get some remnants. But other than that, I feel like if I had a terrible day, I will at least let her know, hey, I had a terrible day. Can you just have a drink ready when I get there? And she'll know from that point, all right, let me back off.
Let me
back off. But those are few and far in between. And it really just boils down to, you know, how we were raised. Like, I think I was emotionally available as a child up until I moved in with my father and my stepmom, who are DC cats. So, that street mentality, and, it was, toughen up, no crying, like somebody hit you, hit them back. Like, that's not really my personality at all, but that's just kind of what it was. And, I adapted. And Jarrell, to your point, in high school, nah, I'm not taking that out. There will be no crying in high school whatsoever. You will find an activity to be a part of, and you will take it from there. So yeah, as I get older, I'm a little more comfortable with just kind of being whoever the hell I am, and being content with that. But growing up, there is no outlet like, okay, you can be over here, you can just be you, and if you want to cry or pout about something, you do that, and then we'll come back and reconvene and discuss what that was about. Like we don't get those, so it's very hard for us in our adulthood to be told, oh, you can be emotionally available, when we don't even know what that looks like.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't even taken I was just gonna say I haven't taken my armor off since 2004.
Wow.
Like, my armor is still on. I think the most I've done is maybe taking the helmet off, and that's it. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I've learned to just take things for what they are. Whatever tragedy or whatever is happening, I compartmentalize. Well, not compartmentalize it, but I assess it. I look at it. I'll react on it, however see fit, and then it's just like, all right, what's next? I don't have time to cry. I don't have time to be upset. I don't have time, and I think that's another problem. Like we always feel like we never have time to just be us, and just feel whatever we feel and be able to show emotion on it, because even as a kid, I played sports too, baseball and football. And I remember plenty of times where I've like gotten my head wrong and I'm like, I want to sit there and I just want to like cry because it hurts so bad. And I'm thinking like my dad told me like, don't you cry, it's a part of playing sports. I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to sit here and think about like I want to cry, I want to let it out, I want to let the pain go, but I've just built that armor on me, and I'm like, I gotta figure out like when to take it off, and just it's okay to do that.
And I want to say, because it's been on my spirit, to the ladies out there that are listening to this episode, I'm not holding my ground and going tit for tat by saying, oh, well, let me tell you about the Black woman experience as far as stress. Let me tell you about the Black woman experience as far as the workplace. Let me tell you about the Black woman experience as far as how our bodies are viewed. I'm not doing that. Please be clear that as a Black woman, I have stories for days, and I can go toe to toe with these Black men about stress, about mental health, about our experience, about how exhausting it is just to exist. However, I feel as though it's also extremely important as Black women to show up and just be a support to these Black men and to just listen, to understand. I feel as though as a Black woman, we are desperately interested in knowing what's going on inside of the Black man's mind and figuring out ways to support them and to help them shine up or sharpen or adjust their helmets or their armor when they go out into the world. But there's often times where we don't get the opportunity to peel back or to take off the helmet so we can get that type of exposure. So I just think that this is an opportunity. Black woman, I'm speaking directly to you, to make time to just listen with intentionality, like listen for appreciation, listen to ways that you can show up and be empathetic, listen to show up to be how we can, be more supportive to them. I think that's how we begin creating safe spaces. This podcast right here and right now, just me asking probing questions, me trying to understand, and just letting them talk without having a, blase blah, because there's been times where I've wanted to jump in and say, okay, but there's been moments during this podcast where I had to sit, like bite my tongue and listen, because this is very valuable information that does not come easily. It does not come easily. So I just that was to all my Black women listening to this podcast. So that was to y'all.
And I want to real quick and to couple that call to action, because I definitely appreciate, the Black women that do, take that time that to try to have some level of understanding where in most cases there's none. But to partner that call to action, understanding that it is us admitting that you guys lead the charge in understanding self-care, understanding mental and emotional wellness, understanding of, soothing yourself and being able to feed into your own holistic well-being. You guys are kind of leading the charge in that. So in doing that, listening as teachers would to a pupil, so to understand where our problems and our deficiencies lie, because that's the best way that you guys can help us get to where we need to be to better serve you all. So it's like, Like I said, I commend those who already do that. And with that call to action, I challenge to not even look at yourselves as just being accommodating, but understanding that y'all are setting the example. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that ain't always nice to hear from us. Like this what we need y'all to do. So because then, like you said, that argument comes in where it's, well, since you asking for stuff, like, but understand that we're saying that. Exactly. Understand that we're saying this because we understand that you guys, in more ways than we do, have the answers, because what you're asking for of us, you already have an understanding of. So help us help y'all. That's all I'm saying.
But also looking at it like this too, like we're, as men, we're individuals, and excuse me, and as women, you all are individuals. You all have your own way of thinking. We have our own way of thinking. You have your emotions. We have our emotions, even though we don't show them as much. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think to kind of like bridge the gap in some aspect is just as the woman, like you said before, just ask us like what's wrong. And if we're like, okay, we don't want to tell you at that particular time, it's not saying we don't want to tell you. It's just that we don't want to come at you angry when we say it or when we tell you. You know what I mean? Just understand how we're feeling at that particular time when we say certain things or certain words that may trigger, like, oh, well, let me leave him alone for a minute. You know, obviously it's something that's really bothering him. He'll come back to me. You know, he doesn't want to come at me crazy, you know, to the point where now I'm arguing with him because he snapped at me, you know, because that's the last thing we want to do anyway.
So that was our trigger warning segment, and I don't even remember if I said that was our trigger warning segment when we started. Sorry, Jarrell. But this is, we're moving into our wellness wheel segment where we're talking about wellness and how to be holistically well, and how it's more important to focus on a lot of different aspects of self, not just physical health, not even just mental health, but there's 8 different areas where we are needing to practice healthy habits. So this month is spiritual health, spiritual wellness. So that just means and I had my screen up and I lost it. So spiritual wellness means to have curiosity and growth about one's meaning of life. And one thing that I think that's been helpful for me and Mike, and I got this from being a social worker, and also this has worked in a crap ton of girls group chats. So this kind of speaks to me as a woman, me as a clinician having something already, and me finding it effective and wanting it to bring it into my intimate partner relationship with Mike. So we do these check-ins with one another, whether it's monthly, bi-weekly, however often we feel as though we need to realign with one another and really have an open, honest conversation about how we're doing. We would go back and forth and say, okay, how are you doing financially? And we would get the opportunity to talk about money, like our woes, our goals, what's going on, what do we need from one another, what do we want to work on this month? Okay, how are you doing spiritually? Like, how are you connecting with your higher being? What are you doing as far as spiritual practices? How are you doing physically? So we're talking about our physical body. How are you doing emotionally? How are you doing sexually? Which is, I feel as though it's been a taboo topic within couples, but it's a pretty necessary topic to discuss. You know, how are you doing occupationally? So what's going on at work? What are your stressors? What do you need? What's going on? What's the plan? So we're having these conversations and we're going back and forth. And I think that that's really beneficial and helpful. And it also allows time to be present and really allow time for that thought to kind of, you filter through it and you're able to ask it and you're able to express it versus the immediate hot and heavy. And you might feel some type of way during the heat of whatever moment you're in. So I think that this would be very beneficial moving forward. And to all of our listeners, I encourage you guys to try it and see how it works. And you have to create that safe space. Whatever is being said in that situation is not, the intent was not to hurt or harm the other person listening, but just to speak openly and candidly and authentically and be vulnerable to give, and the other person just needs to be on the vulnerable side to receive that information, and together as a collective you guys make a plan. So now, with that hearty intro,
Right.
since we are
My quick question, fellas. Prior to today, did you guys know anything about this wellness wheel, these 8 areas of wellness and how they work, like, you know, together to make you holistically well, as they say? Did y'all know anything about that?
Well, I have a cheat code, which is her.
Yeah, that's Mike. You don't count. You
he don't count.
got the answer to the test already.
Right.
Justin, what about you?
I knew the basics, like just, holistically and as far as your physical wellness and emotional wellness. Now the other ones, I mean, not so much, because I talk about them, but I don't really like go in depth about them.
Yeah.
I know how to practice a few of them. As far as emotional, I've learned how to not take things to the extreme as far as like being upset about them. But with people that talk to me, they're like, well, we don't really ever see you get upset about anything. It's like, I get upset about it, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you,
right?
You know what I mean? Because what good is that going to do? Now I'm just complaining. I don't want to complain to anybody. I just relax, and if I have to, write it down and just look at the steps and pros and cons or whatever to try to figure it out, and then leave it alone after that. As far as like the physical wellness, I'm working on that, because Rona kind of did that to everybody and did it to me as well. So I just gotta get back in the practice of that. But the other part, as far as like the sexual part, I ain't had no problems with that part. That part's been all right. That part's been fun. So I'm not worried about that. But
did you know that like there was a system and all of these pieces work together? That was like, when I first learned about that, like, it's literally a wheel, like, and you guys can just search. If you do not know what we're talking about, just go online and search wellness wheel, and it'll show you what Lauren's talking about, all of those aspects of your wellness that people don't really understand has an impact on your overall well-being. So I just wanted to make note of that, because I didn't know that. And I'm glad Propel is once again bringing people into a new realm of thinking and giving them new tools to use to kind of better themselves, because that definitely helped me.
That's a tool, though. Those are some tools, though, I really want to look into, though, and more in depth, to have a better understanding, and it kind of helps you understand who you are as a person. Find your faults, find your pros, your cons, your as we say in the educational world, your glows and grows, and help you like that.
Pluses and deltas.
There you go. All of that good stuff. So yeah, no, that I didn't know about that, but I want to know. I need to know.
Oh, well, Jarrell, thank you for always slowing me down, because I feel like I talk as if everybody knows.
Yes, you talk as though everybody's an expert.
Okay,
because you're the expert. Guys. You're the expert. But I think that's, and for all of our listeners that's coming and continuing, to grow the audience, I feel like that's what's so unique about this platform, because we mix so many disciplines and so many walks of life that we want to give a well-rounded perspective of what Propel is doing, because it's dope. Like, I'm a consumer just as much as I'm a part of Propel. I consume all the information and all of the lessons that they're putting out into the world. So I just want to make sure that our listeners, from the consumer perspective, catch all that you be giving off, because you be giving a lot. That's all. That's what I was trying to do.
So in closing, and we didn't even talk about the wellness. Well, we talked about the wellness, but we didn't talk about spiritual wellness, but that is okay, because we just needed to do an overarching discussion to go search the wellness wheel. Make sure you're looking at the one that has 8, not the one that has 7, the one that has 8. So my final question to you guys, is under the realm of the art of expression segment, where we talk about art and how it impacts our emotional health, how it impacts our mood. So we done talked about how the fellas have been out in the world, armor up, shields up. They come home, they're exhausted, they're tired. What type of art do you guys turn to help decompress or relieve any type of stress?
So, are you talking about? Because I know how I want to answer. You talking about like art, like what are we actually doing? Like you talking about like drawing or
No, like
or can it be
any
like
type of
consuming?
expressive art, yeah, soothing.
Whatever form of
Any
expression.
type of expressive art. What's your go-to thing? I mean, how you answer it. I feel like what you want to say is what we want to hear.
No, go ahead.
I don't know. Okay, so what I do when I get home is normally, if it's not like, the sports stuff, I will go to YouTube and I'll find like a music playlist. And like it can be just about anything. So hip hop, funk, Cuban jazz. It's just whatever my taste is that day. I like candles, and like I'll just kind of, pour me a drink and I'll just kind of be in that zone for like the next hour or two. If it's not that, then it's usually a lot of anime. Like I put myself on like a rotation. Like if I have to be busy for so long and do so much work, then I am equally going to consume like that much media in the form of anime or music. And like, I kind of get lost in that stuff. And that's just kind of my way of escaping. So like, I don't want to hear nothing about nothing. I don't want to hear nobody's problems. I don't want to hear about work. I don't want to hear about nothing. I'm about to sit here and watch these shows and just get lost in that. And if somebody wants to discuss that show with me, that is great because we can discuss it. But outside of that, like I'm not even really trying to entertain it.
That's what I thought he was going to say.
You knew nothing.
I know these things.
What you got, Justin?
I mean, I've got a couple of things. For one, when I do come home, I will literally go into my second bedroom and I will turn off every light there is, and I'm just being like total darkness, and turn on like it's a station on Spotify called Chill Music, and I'll sit there and listen to that thing for like forever if I wanted to, but I like turn on for like a couple of hours and I will listen to that and just sit there and just think about the day and how to process it. And then there's another one where I will leave the house and I will go to like my favorite cigar lounge, get a drink, and I'll just sit there and look at and just chill. And it's just a chance to get away from reality for at least for a little bit. I don't have to think about anybody. I don't have to take care of nobody. I don't do anything. Just worry about myself. You know what I mean?
Jarrell, what do you do?
So I mean, so it sounds to me like you guys go into more of a meditation. That's like creating meditation like atmospheres for yourselves. What comforts you, what puts you in a good space to kind of step away from what's going on around you. With me, I'm more of like expressive in terms with mine. So mine comes out in the form of I do music. So my pen is kind of like my punching bag. I say a lot. I get a lot of stuff out from writing. As both of you guys said, music in general is definitely a way of release. So like Mike said, it could be some days I'm feeling hip hop. Some days I'm feeling like you said, maybe some go-go. I put on some jazz every now and again, depending on what mood I'm in. That kind of just, I feel like it's like a erasure. Like it helps you to kind of smear away the reality and kind of step into the, your own personal universe, if that makes sense.
It does. And for me, I'm kind of similar. I think that for my relaxation, I'm learning that it's actually kind of project based. So I don't do well with sitting still and listening to music or sitting still and watching TV. I don't do well with sitting still, period. I feel like I constantly
Don't
need
we
to
know?
do something hush. And I feel like product projects really relax me. So if I get to design a room or redecorate a room or do some gardening or research succulents or work on another business idea or record videos, like I like to do a project that's kind of fun and allow my creativity to just kind of be playful and create. I think that's how I refill my cup and kind of replenish myself to go out into the world. So it's nice that we all have very different ones. Hopefully our listeners can take something from it and try it out, try something new. It's always great that we have more than one thing because we might not be able to get to a project or to our pen and paper or to the music, whatever it is. So it's always good to have multiple things that we can do to either boost or decrease our mood.
Can I say one thing though?
Yes,
And I
you.
think I think we missed it. We missed it throughout the whole show though, and it's a question that we don't even ask ourselves. It's like, as black men, like, why don't we check on each other?
That's a really good question.
Oh,
Really
yeah,
good
we
question.
didn't touch on.
That's a
You,
really
you know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like,
getting better at that.
good
yeah,
question.
like
I'm getting better at that.
I don't. I know I'm guilty of it. I don't do it as much as I should because like I have a brother. You know, I don't check on him like I'm supposed to. But when I do, I always first I ask him. I'm like, yo, how you doing? You know, everything good? You know, because he's had some good things happen in his life right now, and I'm like, it's just me and him now. So it's like I gotta check on him a lot more than what I should. You know. But just as a whole, as black men, like I don't care if you homies, acquaintances, line brother, whatever, just check on each other. You know, like we got to do a better job of that. And I think that might help with our mental capacity when we bring it home to our black women, you know, and when it comes to communicating too. You know, I think we could probably be in a better space when they ask you like how was your day? And you can actually sit there and tell them without being like, okay, can I just leave me alone for a bit? You know what I mean? Um, I think the communication piece of that would probably be a lot better going forward.
Absolutely. And matter of fact, you know, I'm always the guy for ideas. So, Lauren, I don't know what you feel about this, but what about sponsoring in the same kind of way as you do Propel Bosses, which is a advocacy group for entrepreneurs? What about Propel sponsoring an advocacy group for Black males in mental health and wellness? That I will be more than happy to help spearhead that idea. I feel like that because I definitely 100% agree with Justin, and I feel like the problem is there isn't a lot of spaces where that happens, and specifically now that you know since the pandemic, I know for you guys, the barbershop was always a place. You know, it might not always been the best of advice. You know, it's not all
pilgrimage to Mecca. That's what that was.
Yeah, I mean, so you know. But regardless of everything else, it offered that safe space where Black men can come and just be themselves and express as they do. Because as we know, our form of expression, whether it be verbally, whether it be non-verbally, is not like the norm. We have our own specific way of doing things that we only understand. So when we express in a lot of other avenues and a lot of other environments, it's misunderstood as something else. Even when we're loud and like we, you know, as the old folks say, playing the dozens or joning on each other or whatever your generation calls, you know, shooting jokes back and forth. People outside of our community will look at that as, yo, why they being so mean to each other? But that's our way of just, you know, interacting and expressing. So I think Propel creating a program that kind of creates that kind of advocacy group, I think will be a really dope opportunity for sure.
Agreed. Agreed. Thanks for bringing
Thanks,
that up.
Justin. I'm about to
And
say-
Justin, thanks for saying that, because you're right. We didn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just sitting there thinking about that. I mean, because it's just like that's always the one question that's never talked about. You know, why is black? I mean, we don't check on each other. Why don't we look out for one another? We're so busy like arguing, even with each other. We're so busy arguing with each other, not trying to understand each other because it becomes an ego thing, and one wants to out-talk the other. The next thing you know, it becomes something more than that.
Absolutely.
You know.
Okay.
Great.
But I even think that advocacy initiative, it would also help build confidence in black men too, to be able to express that a lot more than what we should.
I like that.
Absolutely.
So before we sign off, I want to give everybody the opportunity to shoot their shot and talk about what businesses, what projects you guys are working on individually. Shameless plug. If you want to leave your Instagram handle or website or whatever, now is the time. So who wants to share what projects or businesses? I heard both y'all mention it. So
Well, I'll go first. Currently, with my wife and I, our consulting group, Napier and Leach Consulting Services LLC. We currently have a project that we're working on with the women's conference. It's church conference that's in Biloxi, Mississippi. So it's supposed to be sometime in July, I think July 30th through the 1st. So we're working on their social media and their content for that, along with some other things that are coming up hopefully during the summer. So the summertime is going to be really busy for us. So, you know, listeners, you know, for any consulting needs, data analytics, notary, resume writing, all that good stuff, just contact us look on our website, Napier and Leach Consulting Services.com, or you want to email us, you can email us at napier.leachconsultingservices@gmail.com. You can look for me on Instagram. I'm gonna be honest, I'll be forgetting my own handle sometimes. But J_Jamal25 is my Instagram, and believe it or not, y'all, I actually got a TikTok, man.
Oh Jesus!
No.
Wait. It's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. It's not. I promise you, it's not. So it's my first name Justin, last name Leach, Leach 1986 on TikTok. And it's really pretty much a bunch of motivational videos. You might catch a video of me throwing axes, but there's a point to it that I was trying to make with it. Go on there and you'll see what I'm talking about, though.
Hey, Justin, make sure you send me all of that information so I can make sure we got it on the screen when you're sharing it.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Mike.
Me? Okay. You can follow me on Instagram at _JMikey. I am a big foodie and alcohol consumption type person. So if you've got some places that I need to try out, please DM me and let me know, because more than likely I'm actually going to go and try it out. Outside of that, business-wise, at Live the Sloth is on Instagram, and that is a wellness page. So me and Lauren are tag teaming and doing something from a holistic and wellness approach. We have wax melts. We have pocket pauses, which are these nice little scented little capsules that you can just kind of take out. And
I feel like it's next to you.
Is it next to me? Oh, it is next to me. All right, so here's one right here.
Jarrell got one too.
Yep. So, whenever you're just in one of those days, you just need a moment to just sit and
it works, folks.
Take in the scent and relax. I'm telling you, it works.
Calms you down.
Yeah, but we have a few items. The website is live, and again, that is at Live the Sloth, and that is on Instagram. So definitely check us out.
Dope. And I don't normally get to do this because I'm always on the podcast as a Propel Productions employee / whatever. So today I'm going to be a fellow guest and male for this conversation and go ahead and plug some stuff that I got going on as well. Starting off, I'm an artist, Jarrell Tha Griot. So Instagram at Jarrell Tha Griot. If you have not already known from Lauren tagging me and all the things, because she's awesome at making sure that Propel grows, but all of us that work with Propel, our personal brands, are able to get exposure through Propel. So shout out to the boss lady for that. Also, Into the Griosphere is really taking off at this point. We got a lot of projects going on. So please also follow Into the Griosphere. Enter_the THA Griosphere, as you can see behind me. And yeah, you'll kind of get a real. I'm just started my email list. Thanks to Propel Bosses. You see, I keep plugging Propel because they're dope. Y'all need to make sure that y'all are with us because we're on past the greatness. But through mentorship of Propel Bosses, I am currently in the process of starting the Griosphere as a nonprofit organization, which would be a creative space for all things storytelling, whichever way you choose to tell your story. Griosphere wants to help, and they want to expose everybody else to that story because that's what a griot does. A griot tells stories. I'm a storyteller, and I want to turn everybody that enters the Griosphere into their own storyteller because I feel like, in your story is where you find all the lessons. So that's what I got going on. Y'all look out for all things Griosphere coming to you real hot and fast.
And on behalf of Propel Productions Center that has so many things going on, our Remix Rage Smash Room is open in Temple Hills, Maryland. Mike is actually the manager, so you'll see him when you book your session.
Shout out to Smash Room.
So if you're feeling some type of way, if you're irritated, if you're stressed, you're angry, you're bored, book a session. So follow us on Instagram at remixrage_smash room. You can book your session there.
Hey, check this out, Lauren. Check this out. One more thing.
What?
I got a challenge. I'm sponsoring 3 Remix Rage Smash Room bookings.
What?
3 of them.
Mike, you heard that, right?
What's the middle package?
I heard it.
What's the middle package again? That's
$65.
You got trigger. What is the middle one called again?
Trigger. I think it's caution, trigger, detonate.
Yeah. So I'm sponsoring 3 trigger bookings. So make sure that you got to be following Into the Griosphere on Instagram. You got to be following Propel Productions on Instagram. You have to be following Remix Rage Smash Room on Instagram, and you have to make a video saying why you're booking and what you want to do, what creative expression you want to get off from going to the Smash Room. So that's your challenge. Anybody that want to get a free, I'm sponsoring 3 trigger packages at the Remix Rage Smash Room to be booked anytime. You don't have to get in no specific time, but this comes out April 16th?
Come out April, yep.
All right, so I'm giving you until the end of April. That's when that's going to be done. So that's what I'm about to do.
Oh, snap.
On behalf of the Griosphere, we're sponsoring 3 trigger sessions. Let's get it.
Oh, snap.
So I got some money to spend.
Right.
Weird. Okay, y'all heard it here first, folks. Or maybe not, because knowing Jarrell, he gonna make a video and post it on his Instagram. So.
Oh, I'm gonna cut it. I'm definitely cutting this out, and I'm gonna post it again. It's going up.
Okay, well, that's it. That's all for Feeling Triggered. This probably need to be a 2-parter, but I just want to thank Justin. I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Jarrell for coming on here, speaking on behalf of all Black men during the month of April, which is Stress Awareness Month and African American Mental Health Awareness Month. This is Feel the Feels podcast. Hopefully you felt some type of way. And if you did, please book a session at Remix Rage Smash Room or enter Jarrell's.
What podcast is this morning?
Oh, what did I say? Feeling Triggered.
Feel the Feels podcast.
Oh, this is Feeling.
When you feel the feels, feeling triggered.
Wait. Let me do this over. Let me do that over.
Oh man.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jarrell, for joining us on the Feeling Triggered podcast. And we hope that you felt some type of way during this series. And if you did, make sure you book your session at Remix Rage Smash Room or participate in what Jarrell has going on, where he's giving away 3 free sessions.
Yeah.
See, I cleaned that up real nice.
Good job, Lauren.
Let's buff it right on out. Just cut that out. He's not gonna cut it because this is the second time I asked him to cut something and he did not. So
they need what they need. Raw, unadulterated. That's what we give here at Propel Productions. That's what we give with the Feeling Triggered podcast.
Yeah.
God be blessed. Blessings and favor.
Aggie Proy.
See y'all next month.
no.
And like my man said,
No.
Aggie Proy.